Officers describe the situation as trying to empty a river with a bucket.
Picture this. It's a Tuesday morning. A Tesco in southeast London opens its doors. Within 2 hours, organised thieves have hit it in coordinated waves, groups entering simultaneously, stripping shelves of Lurpak, Lavazza, premium olive oil, alcohol, and walking out without paying. Staff watch. They are trained to watch. The policy says so. And by the time police arrive, the shelves are bare and every single one of the thieves is gone. This is not a scene from a dystopian drama. This is Britain in 2026, and it is happening every single day in every major borough at a scale that supermarkets are struggling to even quantify, let alone stop. Retailers detected 5.5 million shoplifting incidents last year. That works out at more than 15,000 thefts every single day across the country. And police recorded shoplifting offences reached 530,643 in the year to March 2025, the highest number since records began. That is 3 thefts a minute, round the clock, every day of the year. But even those numbers, as staggering as they are, tell only part of the story. Because behind the statistics is something uglier, more personal, and more urgent. The people paid to protect these stores are being stabbed, spat at, and threatened with weapons. And when they fight back, when they do what every human instinct tells them to do, they get sacked. Before we go further, subscribe to British Front Media right now, because what follows is the story Britain's biggest broadcasters are too afraid to tell start to finish. The retailers know it, the staff know it, and now you will too. The word that keeps appearing in frontline accounts from retail staff is the same one. Waves. Not individual shoplifters pocketing a sandwich, not opportunists slipping something into a coat pocket, coordinated groups entering simultaneously, targeting multiple aisles, overwhelming the 1 or 2 security staff on shift, and departing before anyone can respond. The BRC has confirmed that the rise in organised crime is a particular concern, with gangs systematically hitting stores one after another all over the country. In March 2026, the organised theft problem was given its most brazen public demonstration yet. An activist group called Take Back Power coordinated simultaneous shoplifting raids on Tesco, Sainsbury's and Morrison's in Exeter, Truro, Manchester and South East London, all at 8:30 a.m. on the same morning. Groups entered stores, stripped shelves of food, loaded items into labelled boxes and walked out. The group's organiser stated publicly that groups of up to 100 activists intended to enter retailers, including Marks and Spencer, and strip the shelves. By Saturday afternoon, no arrests had been made. Read that carefully. A coordinated, publicly announced, filmed and broadcast mass shoplifting operation across 4 British cities. And no arrests, not because police didn't know about it, because the system has no functional response to this level of organised simultaneous theft. And every criminal gang in Britain just watched that and took notes. Let's be precise about what shoplifting actually looks like on the ground in 2026. Because the word shoplifting suggests a minor offence, a petty inconvenience, someone pocketing a chocolate bar. What it actually looks like is this. Every single day across Britain, retail workers face 1,600 incidents of violence or abuse. Of those, 118 every day involve physical violence, and 36 incidents every day involve a weapon. 36 times a day, somewhere in Britain, a knife, a bottle, a bat, or another weapon is produced in a supermarket or retail store during a theft incident. That is still the second highest level ever recorded, and it is more than 3 times the pre-pandemic figure of 455 incidents per day in 2019. 3 times in 5 years. In London specifically, 32% of people have witnessed violence or abuse while shopping, the highest proportion anywhere in the UK. Nearly 1 in 3 London shoppers has stood in a supermarket and watched a worker get threatened, abused or attacked. This is not background noise. This is the daily reality of working retail in Britain's capital. A survey of over 8,980 retail staff by trade union Ustar found that in 2025, 78% had been verbally abused, 54% received threats of violence, and 11% were physically assaulted. That is not a small sample of unlucky workers in high-risk stores. That is the near-universal experience of British retail staff. Nearly 4 in 5 retail workers are being abused, threatened or assaulted for simply doing their job, according to Ustor's General Secretary. And the response from the companies paying them? Punish them if they fight back. This is the section that should make every person who has ever worked a supermarket shift feel physically sick. Because the most damning story in British retail in 2026 is not what the thieves are doing. It is what the employers are doing to the workers who try to stop them. Walker Smith had worked for Waitrose for 17 years of service. One day at the Clapham Junction branch, he saw a known repeat offender attempting to steal Easter eggs. He intervened. He was sacked. Waitrose's statement: "No product is worth risking a worker's life." Weeks later, Sean Egan, a Morrison's store manager in Aldridge, Walsall, with 29 years of service, was dismissed after tackling a shoplifter who was spitting at him and reaching into a bag for what he feared could be a weapon. He had called the police first. He had followed his training. And when an aggressive, spitting thief reached into a bag while he was escorting him out, he grabbed the man's arm. He was sacked under the company's deter and not detain policy. Mr. Egan told The Sun, "My last pay was in January, and we're barely surviving. I've given so much to a business where I've actually lived for work." 29 years gone for stopping a man who was spitting in his face. And here is the sharpest irony of all. It was the Metropolitan Police's own Assistant Commissioner who publicly called out the supermarkets over these dismissals. Assistant Commissioner Matt Twist told LBC that police and the public do not want to see people losing their jobs for doing public-spirited things, and urged supermarket bosses to protect staff who tackle thieves rather than punish them. So we have arrived at this. The police are telling supermarkets to support their staff. The supermarkets are sacking their staff. And the thieves are walking free. Let's talk about the money, because the financial scale of this collapse is something that every British shopper, whether they know it or not, is paying for directly. Retailers have spent almost £5.5 billion on security measures over the past 5 years. CCTV, facial recognition, fog deterrents, security guards, self-checkout cage systems, locked cabinets for butter and cheese. Every technological solution that exists has been thrown at this problem. And 5.5 million shoplifting incidents were still detected last year, with the real number almost certainly far higher because most theft goes undetected entirely. The direct cost of shoplifting to UK retailers sits at £400 million a year from detected thefts alone. Factor in the security investment, the staff turnover driven by violence and fear, the insurance costs, the stock management losses, and the total cost of retail crime to the industry is billions every single year. And those costs don't stay in a boardroom. Every penny comes back to the customer through higher prices at the till. You are paying for every stolen Lurpak and every smashed wine bottle in your weekly shop. Meanwhile, only 13% of retailers rate the police response to incidents as good or excellent. 13%. 8 in 10 retailers say police response is inadequate. And the shoplifting charge rate for the Metropolitan Police, the force covering London, where this problem is most acute, sits at just 5.8%, the worst of any police force in the country. Spend £5.5 billion on locks and cameras and fog machines. Watch 5.5 million thefts happen anyway. Call the police. 1 in 17 times, someone gets charged. This is where Britain's retail sector is in 2026. There is a breaking point approaching, and it is not abstract. When workers are verbally abused 78% of the time, when more than half receive threats of violence, when 1 in 9 is physically assaulted, when the company's policy is to watch and do nothing, when the 2 colleagues who tried to stop it, after a combined 46 years of loyal service between them, were fired within weeks of each other. At some point, the question is not whether staff will keep showing up. The question is why they would. Staff retention in retail is already a crisis beneath the headline crime numbers. Violence and abuse continue to have a profound impact on staff well-being, confidence and retention, according to the BRC's own Crime Report 2026. These are not words from a union pamphlet. These are words from the industry's own trade body, acknowledging in print that the violence is driving people out of their jobs. And when staff leave, when the experienced security manager with 29 years of knowledge walks out the door clutching his dismissal notice, what fills the gap? Inexperienced replacements, shorter shifts, fewer bodies on the floor, more opportunity for organised gangs who already know the layout, the staffing patterns, the camera blind spots, and the precise moment the security guard goes on break. The cycle is self-reinforcing. More theft, more violence, more staff turnover, thinner security, more theft. The supermarkets know this. The police know this. The government knows this. The Crime and Policing Act 2026 has created a standalone offence for assaulting a retail worker. A new law, on paper, but a law only works if there are officers to enforce it, prosecutors to charge under it, and courts to convict. With a national shoplifting charge rate of just 18% and London's rate at 5.8%, a new offence category does not fix the enforcement gap. It names it. That is not the same thing. Walker Smith gave 17 years. Sean Egan gave 29. Both gone, both sacked for doing the one thing every decent person would want them to do. Meanwhile, the gangs are planning the next wave. The shelves are being stripped. And somewhere right now, a retail worker is standing in front of a shoplifter who is reaching into his bag and wondering whether to risk his job or his safety. That worker deserves better. Britain deserves better. And this has to stop. Subscribe to British Front Media, share this video, and if you have worked retail in Britain and experienced any of this firsthand, tell us in the comments.